Mentioned, Herman Cain had this awkward moment when he was asked by an interviewer over the weekend about the situation in Libya and whether he thought President Obama handled it properly. And he struggled for a very long time. He was like, wait a second, let me think. Libya, Obama supported the ouster of Gaddafi, and he really struggled. And then he said, well, I would say, no, that's a different scenario.
Yeah.
He just kept stammering. It was like maybe he was confusing it with Egypt for a minute there. It's hard to say what exactly he was going through in his head, but he definitely had that mental break there, not mental break, but whatever you want to call it, that I was mentioning, though, that a lot of us have. I think I'm having one right now. Richard Fowler, we've seen this happen to Rick Perry and now Herman Cain. How serious a problem is this when these candidates, when they're put on the spot, just lose their train of thought?
Well, I think the campaign trail is taking their toll on all the candidates. The only candidate we haven't seen the campaign trail take a toll on actually is Mitt Romney. He's the only person that hasn't had the, uh-oh, I forgot moment. But the other two have. But I think it brings a broader question to the type of campaigns that are being run. Excuse me, I think I'm coming down with laryngitis too, it looks like. But I think what you're seeing here with Herman Cain and Newt Gingrich, as well as a lot of others, they're running a different style of campaign. They're running these campaigns that I call them storefront campaigns. We've seen a lot of other political analysts call them, these reality campaigns, these reality show campaigns. And with those campaigns, they're not really built or thrusted behind a huge research component or a huge policy component. It's more so a, media hit, media interview, media appearances, rally type of component. And I think that's why, Herman Cain is forgetting things. That's why Rick Perry's forgetting things, because they don't have that policy backing behind them that you would usually see during a presidential race.
T.J. McCormick, there are people who think these are fatal, and there are other people who say, no, they're tired, and it's a gotcha moment that the press is seizing on.
You know what it is? Herman Cain had a moment that Newt Gingrich is never going to have. I mean, I say that in a big way, but that's the kind of thing that I think Newt's role in this four-way tie is fascinating because he is plain spoken, yet he's very, very intellectual. He knows everything. He's a long-time Washington guy who at least speaks exactly what he's thinking. He doesn't parse his words. And so, forgive me, I'm battling everything here. But anyway, the thing is that what happened to Herman Cain, the fans of Herman Cain, his numbers have been dropping. Those people who like Herman, in the last couple of debates, have been seeing what we all see with Newt Gingrich. And now that his numbers are climbing, people, I think, are feeling more confident about saying, oh, I'm behind Newt. You add that to his performance in these debates, and it's crazy. I really think that what you saw with Herman Cain, you juxtapose that with any kind of moment Newt has, and it'll never happen.
Well, yeah, it's kind of a 1-2 punch. It's Gingrich rising and it's the others falling at the same time, and so you see a lot of that going on. Just another note on Herman Cain, the other new development is that yesterday one of his accusers in this whole sexual harassment situation, Sharon Bialek, her ex-boyfriend, who was her boyfriend at the time of the alleged incident, did speak out publicly and said, yes, we did know him. We went to some party with him back in the 90s, and after that, when she needed help with a job, she approached him. After meeting with him, she came home. She was upset. She told me that he touched her inappropriately. He's backing up her story. On the other side, we've got Cain's wife, Gloria, coming out and saying there's no way this fits with his personality.
Right.
So these two developments, Richard, win, loss, draw?
Well, I think it's a win for the other GOP candidates, but I think it's a draw for Herman Cain. I think the Herman Cain campaign and the Herman Cain camp, it's not really a camp that's built upon, the personal character of Herman Cain. It's more so built upon everything that he's been stressing for the past couple of months, his 999 plan, finding a way to change Washington. So, the moral portions of his campaign are not really people aren't really judging. I wouldn't say even his character. People aren't really taking this seriously because they see it more so as as a, you know, a 999, a reality show type of campaign, more so than a real campaign where this would really affect their message. Overall, I think this whole scandal in general shows that he had a breakdown in his communications team. His communications team was definitely off message. It should have ended weeks ago, and Herman Cain should have come out at the beginning and addressed it at the beginning, and not let it spiral out of control to the point where it is now. But with that being said, it hasn't really seemed to affect him in the debates or, you know, on his day-to-day campaigning.
No, what's going to affect him is going to be these moments where his character is called into question. And you can't, you know, and as a conservative who says that character counts, I've got to put my money where my mouth is. And the more I learn about that moment or those collection of moments, I'm going to have to, you know, be intellectually honest and alter my views. But again, it happens at the same time that Newt Gingrich, for very substantial, tangible reasons, is climbing, and so it couldn't be worse timing, I think, for Herman Cain.
Yeah, and in fact, you know, it is starting to take its toll on Cain. It wasn't for a while, but the latest Washington Post ABC News poll shows that 74% of Republican women now describe these allegations against Cain as serious.
Yeah.
It was 39% just a week ago, so 74%. And that's just Republican women, but let's face it, they vote. And so that is an interesting fact there. We have some chat comments coming in. Someone, TJ, backing you up, saying, I can't imagine Newt ever having such a moment. He used to be a professor. He's used to doing lectures. Somebody else saying, TJ, Newt is heads above the rest, I think. Newt, somebody else, is very aware of the facts. He isn't playing games. Newt is growing in stature.
Yeah.
Gingrich rising.
Yeah.
So let's talk more about Gingrich. And again, if we want to pop up that poll. This is just in Iowa, but the poll that Shannon Breen was talking about, Iowa GOP voters' preferences, it's described as a four-way tie because there's a margin of error of 4%. So you've got Herman Cain at 20%, Ron Paul in second place.
Yeah.
Mitt Romney there in third, and Newt Gingrich at 17%. But it is a question of momentum, Richard, as we've been saying. It's not just where they stand right now, but it's who's been going up and who's been going down. But as the Gingrich goes up, the analysts are saying, well, now we're going to see the focus on him. And once the spotlight turns on them, we see problems. People saying his 2 divorces, his acknowledged adultery, the fact that he was a paid advisor to Fannie and Freddie after he was in Congress. How important are these things going to be?
Well, I think they're definitely going to be important when it comes to, I guess, the rise and the potential fall of Newt Gingrich. I think what we've seen from the GOP over the past couple of months is, you know, the flavor of the month. It feels like an ice cream shop, to be honest. Every month it's somebody different. Every month somebody else is up. The only thing that has remained constant amongst the GOP poll is that we've seen Mitt Romney stay at a steady 20% no matter what happens, even though he changes his positions on issues all the time. We're not really sure how he feels about an issue because he changes it the next day. He seems to be the candidate that sort of seems to be, you know, staying above the fray and just sort of staying at a steady state throughout these races. So what that shows is I think we'll have to wait to see what the Iowa caucus returns look like. I think if in any scenario, as long as Mitt Romney's in the top 3 candidates, I think that makes him the potential and possibly the GOP nominee for President of the United States. But with that being said, I think the Newt Gingrich rise will be followed by the higher scrutiny of his resume and of his consulting gigs. When the first consulting that he had with Fannie and Freddie, and even though he says he didn't do any lobbying, I think a lot of people find that hard to believe that he didn't, you know, give them advice on how to deal with Congress or how to talk to Congress, seeing that he is the former Speaker of the House, and that's probably the reason why he received the contract to begin with. And so I think there's going to be still a looming question about what happens here for Newt Gingrich, but I think it's very, very interesting. What we can see is very interesting is that a lot of these top-tier candidates, in somehow, some way, they're running very different campaigns than the campaigns that we're used to in the presidential primary.
Yeah, this is certainly a unique race. TJ mentioned that